Hello, friends. Welcome again. Sumit this side. I am super excited that I am about to start a new playlist on my YouTube channel. This playlist is all about talking about top product based companies if you are an aspiring data engineer. The first company in my list is Walmart, which is a dream company for many people. Even it was a dream company for me when I was working, right? So let's talk about Walmart, and I will talk about all the things that you should know as a data engineer if you are trying to make an entry, starting from how to get interview calls to talking about the work life balance. Let's get started. In this video, I'll talk about how do you get interview calls, and also I'll talk about what different positions you can apply for in Walmart. Also, I'll talk about the number of interview rounds you can expect, the duration of each round, within what time span you will have all these rounds, and a lot more. Then we will talk about how you should prepare for technical interviews, what you can expect out of the technical rounds, how much technical will it be, is DSA required, and many more questions that you would have. And then the most important aspect, which you will be very, very eager to know, talking about the CTC and the breakup of the entire CTC. And after that, a few more things which you should consider if you are looking to make an entry into Walmart. For example, what's the notice period? How is the work life balance? And a lot more. So let's get started. First in our list is getting interview calls, because the entire journey starts from getting an interview call. If I have a dream company, my first thought process is that how do I get interview calls? So I would say I have collected the data of around 10 candidates who have cracked Walmart in last 1 year. And these are my students. So whatever data I am talking about is the actual data, so that you get the best out of it, right? It's not something where I am checking from somewhere and telling you. It's the actual data that we are talking. So I talked to 10 such candidates who have recently cracked Walmart interview at various levels, and I have got that data. So most of them, they said that they were active on LinkedIn, and from LinkedIn, lot of recruiters have reached out to them. So that's one of the most important thing that I have felt in all the discussions. So be active on LinkedIn, and the recruiters can get in touch with you. That's the most important thing. The second way to get a call is Naukri.com. So make a profile on Naukri. You need not take a premium profile and all. It should be fine. If you are applying for more senior roles, then referrals work really, really well. So if your friend or someone is in Walmart, you can ask them to refer you. That works really well. And for very senior roles like managerial roles and all, there is a platform called as Insta Hire. I have heard that people have got calls through that also. So that's about getting interview calls from the top company, Walmart. Now, most important thing, what different positions are there which you can apply for? So let's see. So basically, if you see, the very first position that you have is a software engineering 2 position or a data engineering 2 position, right? That there is no position like software engineering 1 or data engineering 1, right? That position is of intern basically. So basically the position starts from 2. And now, when I have talked to different people, I got to know that even though they are working on data engineering role, but most of them have a title of software engineer. So it's, do not worry if your title shows software engineer and you are doing data engineering work, because different companies have different styles of giving titles. So it's fine, right? So you might join as a data engineering 2 if you are like a fresher or a 1 year experience kind of person. Now, after that, we have data engineering 3. So here the experience might range from 2 to 5 years or something like that. And then a senior software engineer or a data engineer, again, sometimes it is also called as data engineering 4. So do not get confused, right? So that's the role in the ladder, senior data engineer or software engineer. And the experience range might vary from 5 years up to 9-10 years for this. Then we have a staff engineer. So it can be equivalent to architect kind of position, and then a principal engineer. So these are the various roles in this ladder. Also, one important thing I would like to talk about is whatever roles you see on my screen. are all technical roles. So if you are at a staff level, that means if you got promoted from a senior data engineer to staff, then you have an option to either go for staff, which is technical side. If you want to go more on management side, then you can opt for a senior data engineering manager also. So senior data engineering manager is kind of equivalent to a staff, if you ask me. If not, I mean properly, but to some extent, I would say a senior data engineer is equivalent to staff in that aspect, right? After senior data engineering manager, you can opt for a direct. I mean, there would be a director role and then a senior director role. So that's on the management side of it. So these are the roles that we have. Again, number of years of experience. Sometimes we cannot talk about it that okay, we should have 3 to 5 years to apply for that role. It depends on your current position in existing company also. Now talking about interview rounds. So basically, the first question you might have in your mind is how is the interview scheduled? Is it online or offline? I would say most of the candidates have online rounds, but in some cases, I have seen the interviews happening offline also, where they call people to their Bangalore office or Chennai office and conduct those rounds. But one thing is, if the rounds are happening in person in office, then most of the entire interview process finishes on the same day. Whatever rounds are there would happen on the same day. But if it's happening online, then it will spread across few weeks, which I'll talk about shortly. Now, talking about how many interview rounds you can expect, it also depends on the position you are applying. If you are applying for the data engineering 2 or 3 position, then you can expect 3 to 5 rounds. 3 rounds in the case when there is a very urgent requirement and they want to hire immediately. 5 rounds in the case when it's a general requirement and it's a norm, kind of. But it depends. If you're going for a senior role or a staff role, then you can expect 6 to 7 rounds. So it all depends on the position that you're applying for. Now, what's the duration of each round? I would say technical rounds would go for almost an hour. The managerial or behavioral rounds might go for 30 minutes. And that's the thing with other companies too, I believe. Now, what kind and level of rounds are conducted? So again, as I said, out of this 5, you can expect 3 technical, 1 managerial, and 1 HR. If there are 3 rounds only, then you can expect 2 technical and 1 HR. There won't be any managerial round. So it all depends basically. So, but you can expect 2 to 3 technical in all cases. Now, time frame within which interviews get conducted and offer is released. In most of the cases I have seen, the interviews are conducted like every alternate day. So it would take around 10 to 14 days for all the interview process to get completed. And after that, it might take another 2 weeks for your offer to be released. So the entire process from getting a call to getting an offer might take 1 month. But in some cases, it can be really, really quick if they call you to their office and take interviews. In the same day, they conduct all the interviews and they might release an offer in next 2 3 days also. Okay. So how many technical rounds are conducted? I have already answered. You can expect 2 to 3 technical rounds. What kind of questions are asked in managerial round? So managerial round can be really tricky for people who are not actually working on big data, right? They might ask you questions which talk about, okay, what's the most challenging project you have worked on, right? And how did you overcome those challenges? What kind of data quality issues you have seen? How you overcome that, right? Things like that, where a manager will get to know whether you have actually worked on it or not. So make sure you prepare for managerial rounds well. HR round would be normal, where they will have salary negotiation and all of that stuff, right? So that's about the technical rounds. So now we will talk about how to prepare for technical rounds, because the entire crux of cracking an interview in a product based company is how good you are at technical things. So let's talk about it. So how do you prepare for technical rounds? I would say there are 2 most important aspects. Number 1, your resume, because whatever you mention, they can ask. Number 2, the JD, job description that they have given. Whatever they want you to know, they can ask. So 2 things. if you take the JD and your resume, anything from that can be asked. So make sure you align your resume as per the JD to some extent, and whatever you mention in your resume, you should be knowing 100%, right? Very, very important. Now, if you have mentioned, let's say, Kafka, and you do not know about it to a good level, then you should not mention it, because if you have mentioned, they can ask anything about it, right? So whatever you mention in your resume should be known to you very, very well. Now, talking about coding and DSA, definitely for any top product based company, you should be good at coding, or to a decent level, you should know coding. And we have a perception that for any top product based company, DSA is a must. Even I have that perception. But when I have talked to these candidates, I'm surprised that some of them have not faced even single question on DSA. So I'm not saying DSA won't be asked. DSA can be asked, and there can be chances that there are no questions on DSA. It depends on the interview panel. Even if DSA is asked, it will be at a very basic or intermediate level. They can ask you arrays or linked list at the max, right? And it's not that they will give you any ID or like some portal to write the code. No, they will ask you to write the code on notepad so that they can check the pseudocode, and they mostly concentrate on your logic. Now, what kind of project related questions you can expect? They can ask, okay, can you tell me what project you have done in your previous company, what challenges you have faced, what optimization techniques you have used, how much data you have dealt with, things like that. So if you are aware of your project, then it should be super easy for you. One very important aspect, there are three major cloud providers, AWS, Azure, and GCP. Now, in Walmart, most of the work is happening on GCP, Google Cloud Platform. Some work is happening on Azure also, right? But they are not inclined that, okay, if you know GCP, then only they will hire. But I got to know most of the projects are going on GCP and some projects on Azure, right? That's how it is. Talking about salary, the most important aspect you would be waiting for, that how much salary can I expect? Now, as you know, the CTC depends on the role you opt for, or the role you get, right? If you go for a little lesser role like software engineer 2, I mean a data engineer 2 or a data engineer 3, then of course the package will be different. For senior roles, it will be different. So let me talk about it. Now, you know the hierarchy. If you see, right, we have data engineer 2, data engineer 3, senior data engineer, staff engineer, and principal engineer. I'm talking about the technical side of it, right? If you are just joining like a fresher or a 1 year experience and joining as a data engineer 2, right, then you can expect a CTC, a high CTC of 22 to 25 LPA, which is very, very good, right? For a person who has just joined the industry, right? So 22 to 25 lakhs is what I have seen people are getting at the very entry level. Now, it will have various components that I will talk about shortly. For the next role, which is data engineering 3, the CTC might vary from, it's a big range now, 25 lakhs to 40 lakhs, right? I mean, you can see that Walmart pays really, really well. Now, for a senior data engineer, you can expect 40 lakhs to 65 lakhs annual CTC, right? We are talking about annual package. For staff engineer, 65 lakhs to 85 lakhs, including all the components. And from principal engineer, it can range over 1 CR too, right? So that's a very, very good CTC in terms of the compensation which Walmart pays, right? Now, let me break this down because it will have various components. So you should not get misled, right? Or should not be that you think that, okay, this entire is your base package. No. So this is the breakup of CTC. If you see the base package, let's say if you are joining as software engineer 3 or data engineer 3, it's equivalent, right? So if let's say your base package is 20 lakhs per annum, then you can expect around 15% variable on top of it. 15% would be around 3 lakhs, which you might get as year end bonus and things like that. You can expect 20 to 25% stocks, RSUs, right? So if you talk about 25% RSUs, it will become again let's say 5 lakhs on this, right? And this 5 lakhs will be vested over next 3 years every quarterly, right? So if you see 5 lakhs in 12 quarters, because every year there will be 4 quarters, like every 3 months, and it will be vested over the next 3 years. So this 5 lakhs is not that you are getting upfront. You will be getting in 12 installments, kind of, it will be vested quarter by quarter. So if you see this way, your total CTC would be around 25 lakhs in this case. 20 lakhs base plus 3 lakh variable plus 2 lakh stock, which you would get for that year, kind of, right? So think it this way, right? Now, for software engineer 2 or a data engineer 2, earlier they used to give stocks. But now I have heard that they have stopped giving them stocks. Rather, they are making their base package little better. So they are not getting stocks from now on. Very recent change that has been done in Walmart. Talking about this variable and stocks, these components vary for different levels. So for someone like a staff engineer or a senior data engineering manager, the stocks can be up to 50% of the base package, right? Even this variable can be, instead of 15%, it can be up to 30%. So it all depends based on the role that you have in Walmart or based on the title that you hold, right? So these things will keep increasing as you grow up the ladder. Again, as I mentioned, just equivalent to staff. I mean, if you are a senior, if you are a senior data engineer there, and you are promoted to a staff engineer, you have choice that you can even go to the managing ladder and you can be a senior data engineering manager, and after that a director and a senior director. So it depends on you if you want to grow on a technical side or a management side. Okay, talking about, let's say you get an offer, they offered you some amount. Can you negotiate? In most of the cases, I have seen that the negotiation do not work out. I mean, you can feel free to negotiate, but they might not increase the package. That's what I have got to know in 95% of the cases. But you can still give it a try. Okay, what next? Do they offer any joining bonus? I have seen in case of freshers they offer, but in case of like data engineer 3, I have not seen they giving joining bonus. But if you are going for a senior roles, then they might offer joining bonus based on your profile, right? And in this case, negotiation can work because joining bonus is one time, so they can, I feel, give you joining bonus if you try to negotiate on this part, right? Any extra benefits, perks? I have not seen that. In case if you know that they give any extra perks, you can mention in the comment section of this video. Okay, how much yearly hike can you expect? You made an entry, then you should be knowing that, okay, how you can grow in this company. Generally, people say that they get 9 to 12% of hike every year based on performance, but most of the people have said they get single digit hike, right? And talking about other things, let's talk about work life balance here. So work life balance depends on teams to teams, you know that, right? In some team they would have a good work life balance, in other teams it might be little hectic, right? But I got to know work life balance, I cannot say that it's too good, I cannot say it's too bad, it's okay. And some people have said that they are working overtime also. So it actually depends on team to team, I cannot really generalize that. Now, how many days of notice period they accept? Let's say you are working in a company and your notice period is 90 days. Will they accept it easily? Probably they will ask you that, okay, if they can buy out your notice period or things like that. Otherwise, up to 60 days, they are very much okay. I hope this should be an important point to consider. How much notice period they have? What I have got the information is for people like data engineer 2 and data engineer 3, mostly these people are saying 30 days as the notice period. But when I talk to some senior person like a staff engineer, they mentioned 60 days. Now, I'm not too sure, is it that 30 days for entry level and folks above that, and 60 days for senior people? You can even mention this in comment section if you know little more about it. But what I got to know is at entry level 30 days, as you grow senior they might make it 60 days, but you feel free to mention this in comments if you know a proper answer to this. Other things, now talking about their offices in India, they have offices at 3 locations: Bangalore, Chennai, and even Gurgaon. But I got to know Gurgaon is not a technical office that way, it's more of a warehouse or something. So but Bangalore office has around 8,000 plus employees. Chennai office has 2,000 plus employees, right? So these two would be your locations if you're working. Now, talking about the work model after COVID, so they have adopted a hybrid model where, as of now, there are 2 days you have to go to office. But I heard that there are discussions going on that from January onwards, it might be a 3 day working from office, right? That's how it is. Talking about promotions, right? Going from one position to another. Now, what I got to know, generally people get promoted in a period of 2 years on an average, but we cannot again generalize it. I mean, 1 year is something that you should complete to get or to be eligible to get promoted. But it generally takes 2 to 3 years to get promoted. Initially, it might be a bit easy to move from data engineering 2 to 3 in 2 years. But as you grow up the ladder, right, it might take more number of years to switch from one level to another. And promotion comes with a very good hike. I have heard that in some cases people get around 35% hike also when they get promoted. Now, do they give onboarding training? Let's say you enter Walmart and you join Walmart. Then do they give any training to you? It again depends on team to team. If you are, let's say, you were working on PySpark and the requirement is on Spark with Scala, then definitely they will give you some time. But generally, initial 1 and 1.5 months is easy. You would have to go through some compulsory trainings which are more around security and policies, and they would give a good amount of time internally to make sure you are ramped up fully. So with this, I think that I have given you fair enough idea that okay, what are the things that you need to consider when you are going for an interview in Walmart, what things you have to take care, right? Walmart is one of the top companies, and I know that it's the dream company for many aspiring data engineers. This is the very first video in this playlist where I have talked about Walmart, one of my favorite companies. In my next video, I will talk about more companies, more top product based companies. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, do subscribe now. Click on the notification icon, and I am sure I'm going to come up with a lot of new videos for you so that it helps all the aspiring data engineers out. Thank you.